Financial psychologists have discovered that your money scripts, unconscious beliefs about money, are typically formed in childhood and passed down through generations. Once we understand these patterns, we can transform them.
I didn't grow up with any money. I paid my own way through college. I realized I was good at sales because I would be the top salesperson. I learned not only how to generate income at an early age, but there's a big difference between being income affluent and also being asset affluent. I would exchange money for love. People are sharing all their fears and dreams and everything about what they want to create in their lives. You gotta let your freak flag fly and be who you are authentically. You need to get rid of your debt. You need to love money. You have to clean up your financial past. Money patterns go deep. You have to find that courage to actually shift and change. You have to think of, what are you doing today that creates the outcome that you desire? Being that is contagious and the world needs more of it.
Did you know that your current money habits are largely shaped before you even received your first allowance? Financial psychologists have discovered that your money scripts, unconscious beliefs about money, are typically formed in childhood and passed down through generations. These invisible forces include or influence every financial decision we make, often without us realizing it. But here's the empowering truth. Once we understand these patterns, we can transform them. And today we will explore exactly how the financial expert Julie Murphy will talk about this. So Julie is a Chicago-based certified financial planner, founder of JMC Wealth Management. With over 25 years of experience, Julie has developed a revolutionary approach that addresses emotional roots of our money decisions rather than just the numbers. Julie's signature-packed program, Picturing Yourself, Accepting Reality, and Awakening, Choosing to Change and Taking Action, helps people break free from limiting money beliefs and create lasting financial transformation. Today, we're diving into an emotional landscape of money and discovering practical tools to heal our relationship with money. Julie, welcome to the Champion Mindset Collective podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. This is one of my favorite subjects, purely because I've lived a large part of my life through scarcity and lack. And, for in the last 2 or 3 years, I've had to shift that. And I want to hear all about how you did it and how you guide your clients through that process. So, Julie, before we kick into questions, I'd love to hear a little bit about your childhood, your upbringing, and your journey in life. Yeah, tell us a bit about yourself.
It's a unique one, that's for sure. I have 11 brothers and sisters, and I am number 2 out of the 12. And so I didn't grow up with any money. Paid my own way through college, had my first job at 6 years old delivering the penny saver and whatever you could, because if you wanted anything extra besides, shoes on your feet and food on the table, you had to go get it yourself. And that's when I realized I was good at sales because I would be the top salesperson for the summer softball league, because it was, if you sell the most candy bars, you get a 10-speed bike. If you, then, or Atari 2600, I got the next year. They eventually called me up and said, Julie, what do you want this year? I'm like, how about $100? And they gave me $100. But then that happened in the classroom. I went to a private school, and because my parents sent us to a private Catholic school because you only paid for 3 children and then the rest of them were free. And when you have 6 or 7 kids in grammar school at the same time, that was a good discount. And so I learned not only how to generate income at an early age, but there's a big difference between being income affluent and also being asset affluent. And I couldn't agree more with your comment earlier in the fact that your childhood lays the foundation for your money patterns. And my money pattern was that I knew how to generate income. So I've had a money pattern where I would exchange money for love. I thought, people, because I could generate it, that was like what Julie could do. And being a big giver, I always would help people out. I was the second oldest of 12 kids. It's like your brother needed a pair of shoes. Okay, I'll go shopping and we'll buy him a pair of shoes. You know, I was like the Shelley Ansel person until like I get in my 20s and all of a sudden I'm going, well, I have these other goals that I want for myself. And so that's actually the beginning steps of the process that I walk clients through because I actually created a savings account that was called the Murphy Relief Fund. And it was the number that I allocated in my budget in my 20s to say, okay, I'm willing to help others with this amount of money so I can keep doing the things that I want to do over here. And if there wasn't money in that savings account, or if there wasn't enough, but that was how much I could give so that I still hit my other goals. And that was like the beginning steps of how I learned to work with my clients.
Thank you for sharing that. That's, you know, yeah, you're so right. No, our money story is formed so early. For me, it was around abandonment and rejection, and
Mm,
so for me, it was all about money's leaving me, money's running away from me,
yeah.
and yeah, and I've learned that recently that not to chase money, but to have money chase you. You have that
Yes.
relationship, right?
Yeah. Right. It's the
Have
opposite.
abundance, exactly, and but you got to show up in the world as the person that you want to
Mm,
become, and then everything else falls into place.
yeah.
Yeah. So you've spent over 25 years in financial services, but your approach goes way beyond the traditional
Mm.
financial planning. Can you share what led you to focus on the emotional and psychological side aspects of money?
There's a very pivotal moment for me in my career that I can tell you exactly. It started to form the way that I work with clients. I had a boss who was calling me into his office one day and he was like, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Come on in here." And I'm going, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And so I turned around and I was like, yeah. And he was like, you have to stop hugging your clients when they walk in the door. And I'm sitting here going, people are sharing all their fears and dreams and everything about what they want to create in their lives. And they're literally getting financially naked in front of me because most people are embarrassed because they carry all this shame, blame, guilt, and judgment around money. And I can't hug them to tell them, hey, this is a safe container. You're here. We got this. We're going to figure it out and do it together. Like to me, going, what? He goes, it's more appropriate and more professional that you shake their hand. And I'm like going, oh yeah, like the stiff suits that we wear and mahogany desks that don't make anybody feel safe financially. I mean, I didn't say that, but that's what my feisty Irish South Side girl from Chicago was thinking. And I started to realize going, I'm a very compliant person. I couldn't comply with that one. I was like, no way. Because it was so awkward for me not to have that kind of a relationship with my clients. Like you're almost part of their family. I had a great uncle of mine who was an insurance salesman and he wanted to have a dinner with me like a couple years after I started as a financial planner. And he said to me, you know, I'm really surprised you didn't become a lawyer and that you're actually a financial planner. You're going to be at more weddings and more funerals because you're part of these people's family. And I was like, okay, this guy's talking my language, my great uncle. And I was like, okay. And he was like in his 80s, just sharing his wisdom. And so it kind of backed me up on what my boss had said at the
Mm,
time, going, I think my boss is the problem. But then I started to realize that my entire industry, they wear stiff suits. You
mm,
walk into banks and there's mahogany desks, everything that's standoffish and not warm and fuzzy. Right. And I'm like going, oh, I'm warm and fuzzy. I'm not stiff. There's not 1 ounce of me that's stiff. And so that's when I started to see going, okay, I really like financial planning, but I really kind of don't fit the mold.
mm,
And so I started breaking the mold. And
yeah.
then I decided to move my office into the West Loop in Chicago. And I called myself, my tagline was the non mahogany desk financial firm because, and I stopped wearing suits. One, they don't really fit curvy women very well. Two, it's just stiff. Like I felt
Mm,
stiff. And I'm going, I want people to be relaxed. So I bought a space that had exposed brick. So it was open so that people could, unpack their stuff of whatever their stuff
mm,
was or is. And of course I got this first client that, come in, she's got $2 million. I was super stoked. I was early on in my career. I just incorporated in being my own business. instead of working for another firm. And she was judging me for not having mahogany desks. It was really funny. It was like the complete opposite of, and she never became a client because she was so unsteady that this wasn't traditionally like what a traditional office looked like. And I was like,
Mm,
oh, but that's going to repel the people who want that, but it's going to attract the people who I want. And I always talk
exactly.
about, and this is what I teach my clients is to, you got to let your freak flag fly and be who you are authentically, because what that does, that actually attracts more money to you because you're being all of you.
Yeah.
And so it was a long time before in my career. It wasn't until about 10 years ago. So I had spent, about 18 years in the industry before Harvard Business Review came out with a paper that said, well, there's this thing called behavioral finance. I'm like going, no shit, Sherlock. I was like, no kidding. I'm like, of course there's behavioral finance because I had already written a book about it, my Emotion Behind Money book, before Harvard even came out with their research. Well, now I'm put on stages in front of thousands of financial planners to try to teach them because they're
Mm,
like, oh, we forgot about the human element in finance. It's like we got to like combine people's fears. I'm like going, well, a little late to the ball game, but better late than never, I
yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what started to develop me going into the kind of finance that I practice. I had this boss that literally told me stop hugging him, and I said, yeah, I don't think so. And then it
Mm,
was only
yeah.
a time before I moved out of that mahogany desk office and kept hugging people and kept being a part of their family, being like an
Yeah.
extension of it.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Being your authentic self is so important. And like we're programmed to be in a certain way by society. And it's like, this is how you have to be, right? And
Yep.
when you connect with people want to connect and they want to connect authentically and organically, not
Right.
you can still be professional, but like I said,
For
giving
sure.
them a
Right.
hug is not, it's not something that's a bad thing.
No, it's not a must. Right.
No, no. So how did your personal money story influence your professional approach?
Sure. Well, I'm not a good poker player. You can read everything on my face. Meaning that, so for me to be authentic as a planner, I had decided early on in my career that I was going to own every financial product that my clients owned so that I felt it from the side of actually what I was experiencing in my own emotion behind money of what
Mm,
was going on with the investments at the time. And it also made it so that like I can go, no, like here's mine. This is what mine has done. And there's something if you're willing to put your own money into it. It's kind of like I like to invest in companies where, the CEO and the COO all have the same shares of stock that you have because then they're driving the engine the same way you want the engine to be run, right? And so I started doing that. And that's when I started to realize going, huh, I'm a manifesting generator and I can generate income all the time. Yeah, and that's why I started to realize going, oh, but we all create leaky containers in terms of when you're in your childhood patterns, even if you can generate more income, you're still going to create the same outcomes
mm,
because you haven't learned to hold money in abundance.
yes.
Your brain is wired, your decision making process is coming from your amygdala, which is
Hmm.
running the engine 97% of the time, your subconscious mind, where your conscious mind is only running the engine 3% of the time.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my research on my second book, Awaken Your Wealth, I started to uncover what these subconscious patterns are. And it's about, hey, let's override that. Like you're talking the mindset, like override it, make conscious choices and conscious intentions of what it is that you want to create, and then have your behaviors back it all up. Right. So, okay, consciously, I don't want to have as much scarcity as I had as one of 12 kids growing up. And, you know, sometimes we were doing our homework by candlelight because the electricity got shut off. Like that was
Mm,
sometimes my childhood. Like, and a lot of people can't identify with that. I'm going, we still did our homework. We had light, we had candles, like whatever. Like, I think about it now, I'm going, really? Like that was a little, but we didn't know any different. It's just like
yeah.
I didn't see Star Wars until the second time that it came out because I didn't even know it existed because we didn't have a TV,
Mm,
right? And
yeah.
so, but I didn't know any different. But what I started to realize is that I started generating income and having assets. It was like, oh, but then there's debt, and debt is the trap. Debt is where everybody gets stuck in their patterning because debt instruments are sold to the general public so that the powers that be can control the masses. And they
Yeah.
can tell you how to show up every day and how to work and everything else because you got to wake up every day and pay those bills.
Yeah.
And if you want
And
financial freedom, you need to get rid of your debt.
yeah, I'm so grateful that I have a partner that is a financial advisor, and in the last 11 months that we've been together, she's guided me along, and I've managed to pay off a couple of credit cards, and get rid of them, and get myself back into yeah.
Yeah.
And like after about 24 restructures and 4 redundancies in my career,
Mm.
and going through multiple mortgage holidays and so on, it's interesting because I was like, I'm back to where I started 8 years ago with my mortgage. Um, but
It's
now,
humbling.
yeah, it is humbling, and but now I've got an opportunity. So and what happened was early this year, I came to the realization and awareness that the universe was just keep bringing the same thing over and over again because the energy that I was putting out was of
Same.
lack and scarcity, and of being an employee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to join the Tony Robbins summit this year, and he talked about identity, and that just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like,
Mm.
whoa, I've got to shift my identity from employee to business owner and founder of my business. And that's when I
Mm-hmm.
started AI Workflows, which is my AI automation business. And I haven't looked back. I love it. Like you said
Mm-hmm.
before, I don't wear a suit or anything. I wear a polo shirt. Every day I wear a polo shirt. It's a bit like Steve Jobs. He always wore the same
Yep.
thing, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
um, and that's who I am, and that's who I'm going to be. I don't
And there's nothing wrong with that.
exactly. Yeah.
We have so much in our society that makes people right or wrong, good or bad. And I'm here to say that not really. Like that
Mm.
duality and competition, all it does, it's like it makes it so that you're trying to achieve something that's like unachievable. Kind of like when people say, well, you need a work-life balance. And I'm like going, really? Do you ever have a work-life balance? No, you just got to harmonize your life
Absolutely.
because there are some times that the other things take, we got to stop trying to achieve something that's unachievable, which creates, when it's not achievable, like work life balance, all you do is trigger all your shame, blame, guilt, and judgment. And it leaks into your money, it leaks into how you're doing your health, and also into your careers.
Mm.
And when we can start to recognize consciously in our mindset, if we can start to recognize going, wow, these things are really just playing a mind game with us. Get in the game and direct it the way you want the game to go. That's the key.
Absolutely. Be the creator. Be the
Yes.
creator of your destiny, right? And so, and that's it. Like now, I'm like, I I bring this forward because everything you want is already there. You just got to become the
Yep.
person to be able to attract that. So, and it's
Exactly.
all about energy and vibration, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
It's
let's talk.
100% energy and vibration. People
Yeah.
don't realize that we are energy and your money is energy. Like we even get all the way down to how we manage people portfolios. Like, well, what do
Mm.
you want to energize to grow in the world? And they go, what do you mean? I go, well, do you like all the stocks in the S&P 500? Do you like what all those companies do? Do you stand behind them with your value system? Yay or nay? And they're going, I don't know what any of them are. Like, wow, you're supporting stuff that you like and you're supporting stuff that you're going, this should not be happening in the world. And in the S&P 500, you've got it all. Right? And so do it with purpose and with intention because you want to energize what you want to grow in the world. Money is energy. And when
Mm.
I put it that way to people, they kind of go, okay, well, I care about this and I don't care about that. But people don't even think about money that way.
It's also your relationship with money, right?
100%.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a bit
100%.
about. Tell us a little bit about how you build a good relationship with money.
It's funny. Everybody builds it a little bit differently, but sometimes like I it's okay to have financial fun times. So I tend to put people in some moods to have some fun with it. So for example, if you really cannot hold money in abundance and you keep creating debt and paying it off and creating debt and paying it off, I'm like, you need to love money. Because right now you have a love-hate relationship with money, and that's why it keeps going
Mm,
out the door with all this debt.
mm,
And it has to, most debt is created on emotional spending. And because you're trying to satisfy and create happiness inside, but you're using a tool outside of you to try to create that happiness. And that's never going to be successful ever. And so I had one person, I'm like, all right, we're going to buy you money pajamas and you're going to sleep with money. And they're
mm,
like, what? I like, right now. And I pulled up on my Zoom screen, I pulled up Amazon, and we found some camisoles and some shorts and pants. I go, you need to have fun with this. I'm like,
yeah.
I signed to one woman, I'm like, I need you to take $100 bill and I need you to tuck it in your bra every single day. You and money are one. Like, men, stick it in your wallet. Like, right? It's just about feeling money in abundance. Whenever I give the assignment to people, I'm like, I want you to take $100 bill and I want you to stick it in a wallet and under no circumstances spend it. And they're like, what? I'm like, put it in your wallet and don't spend it. It's only a matter of time before the Benjamin Franklin on the front of $100 bill, US dollar, starts talking to you through your wallet. Like, oh, but I got to do this and I got to do that. And that $100 would be really useful and blah, 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 blah. Whatever it's triggering your subconscious mind is what it's doing. And I need you to sit through those feelings, through whether it's anxiety or fear or angst, whatever it is, don't spend the $100 bill. Most
Mm-hmm.
people spend it eventually. And then I'm like, get back on the horse, stick another one in there. And what happens is learning to hold money in abundance is that, let's just say it took you 3 weeks before you spent the first 100. Well, then the next 100 takes like two, the next one takes like one, and eventually you just don't touch it because you're like, oh, this is now normal. It's normal for me now to have money in my wallet, where before it was normal for me to never have any money in my wallet except credit cards that I'm in
Mm,
hock with,
mm,
right? So it's
mm-hmm.
about creating that relationship where it's one of abundance and not scarcity.
Mm,
And like, people would say to me all the time, going, will you just have all this money sitting around? I'm like, oh, I forgot it was there. And they're like, how do you forget money's there? I'm going, well, it all just keeps coming in. Like but I wasn't like that when I first started my career because I didn't come from money. I had to learn to hold money in abundance.
yeah.
And, I really believe that the more you do in alignment with your authentic self and the more you help the collective, and I'm not saying give away the ranch, I'm just saying, like, you know, do good things, like more comes to you because it's all an energy relationship exchange. That's what it
Mm,
is. And I
mm,
have learned that the more money that I invest in others to help them boost themselves or give people a break and help people, like, I have all this free stuff that people can, so no matter where you are financially, I have something to help you. And it was really important for me when I did this because some people don't have enough money to go on a $70 mini course. Some people need the free stuff because that's where their cash flow is. Okay, well, I didn't come from money. So I wanted to make sure that no matter where your starting point was, that you could come in and, start to develop a healthy relationship with money. And you know what? You may not have an unhealthy relationship with money, but maybe you want a better relationship with money. Like, I know lots of people who generate six-figure incomes, but man, they are not close to having their retirement money in place because they're living in lifestyle with that
yeah.
income and they're
Mm,
not remembering that, well, when you're 65, you're not going to really want to work as hard as you are today at 40.
yeah.
Right? You get that when you're 50 or 55, when it's 10 years away, but you don't really get it in your late 30s and 40s. And we have to get to a place where we don't have to consume everything once we get it. Because I think
Mm,
that too, that consumption process, that relationship with consumption is one that can be very destructive because we're in a disposable society, right? And
yeah.
so it's important for us to say, okay, well, I just got that bonus. I just got that pay raise. I'm not going to do anything with it just now, just yet. Let me just sit with actually having more, because I'll tell you, that money is going to start talking to you too.
Yeah.
But it's about sitting with it so that you can intentionally allocate it. And I always tell people, every client that I work with, to have a healthy relationship with money, you can't just do one thing. Meaning, if you have debt, if you take 100% of the new money that you got, whether it's a bonus, a pay raise, a tax return, an inheritance, whatever, if you put 100% of that towards your debt, guess what? The only thing you're going to create moving forward, you're going to create more debt
Mm.
because all you did was energize debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my whole process is set up to where you have to clean up your financial past, which are your debts, while you're also living in the present moment, which is your cash flows and your spending, and also planting the seeds for what you want to harvest for your future.
Future.
Like you
Yeah.
have to hit all three
All
of
of.
those cylinders.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're operating in scarcity. And at some
Mm.
point, you're going to hijack your nervous system, which means your nervous system close up, which means that your lighthouse, which is your pineal gland in the middle of your brain, is not sending out signals for more money and opportunities and love and everything else that you want in your life can't come to you with a hijacked nervous system
No.
because you've contracted. You
Yeah.
need to stay open and abundant. And if 100, let's say you worked really hard this past year and you got a $30,000 bonus and you have $30,000 of credit card debt. If you take that whole bonus and you pay off that debt, it'll feel good, but you'll be like, oh, I still got to work. Right? And guess what? When you need that relief again,
Yeah.
you're going to go put it on debt again.
Yeah.
Instead, take 10,000 and put it towards the debt. 10,000, put it in some kind of goal that you have to spend. Could be vacations. It could be buying a new car, a new house. It could be spending bucket, but I don't know. I had one client actually call their bucket because they were not a spender, but they just didn't. And I go, you need to call this your piss away fund so that you could just go piss it away anywhere you want because that's the way they thought about it.
Mm.
They thought about it in a way that I'm not being a good steward of my money if I just spend frivolously, right? And then the other 10,000, you put it into like emergency reserves, kids college, or retirement, or a little bit of each, right? When we do that and we spread it across, your nervous system totally stays in neutral. It
Yeah.
avoids you going to all of your shame, blame, guilt, and judgment around money. And it really feels good to plant the seeds for what you want to create today in your life for tomorrow. That just feels
Mm.
good to people. It's your
Mm-hmm.
compelling reason to change your patterning and your mindset.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Everything you said, totally agree with that. Yeah. Now, let's talk briefly a little bit about the unconscious beliefs and the money scripts that we have. Where do they come from, and how can we deal with them?
Well, it's not only how your parents dealt with money, but it's also whether they talked about it or not talked about it. It's also in the communities we grew up in. Like, for an example, in America, you have African American communities. They don't operate in banks. They don't trust the banking system because of what happened to their ancestors beforehand. They all have currency exchanges. They don't have banks. And if you talk about anyone in America who's new immigrants, like you see a lot of it from Eastern Europe or you see from Mexico in the United States, oh, I know if I have someone who's an immigrant that comes to the United States, I go, so how much cash do you have in your house? And they're like, how do you know I have cash in my house? I'm like going, because I know the money scripts and the money patterns of people who are first generation American coming here. Like,
Yeah.
I just know to ask those questions after all the years I've been a planner because it's hardwired. Though you might be, I said to this one woman, it was really funny. I said, she goes, well, my dad was from Poland and he went through the communist times you know, and so he taught me to be a great saver. And she was a very good saver. And, she would use everything until it was worn out. And I said, so have you searched your dad's house? And she goes, what do you mean? I go, you need to search your dad's house. In some container, somewhere back in the corner of some closet, you're going to find some container with a bunch of bills in it. She goes,
Mm.
no, I would know. My mom's been gone for years. I'm going, I am telling you. You know what she found? She found an old suitcase that was actually from his days back in Poland up in the attic
Mm.
and it had $300,000.
Holy.
cash,
Wow.
because he's still waiting for communism to come in
Yeah.
and blow the whole system.
Yeah.
So these money scripts go deep. And
Mm.
they may not be your money script, but in your cellular structure, in your body, is from 4 generations ago.
Wow.
And so, well, and it can go longer. I'm just saying, like, it's
Mm.
generations back that
Mm.
you have no clue. And the best example I can give to this is there was a radio show host one day saying, you know, I don't know why we do this. When you make a baked ham in our house, we cut off the ends, you put it in the pan, and then we bake it, and this is how we do it. Because the radio host goes, well, why do you cut off the ends? He goes, I don't know. My mom did it. She goes, let's call your mom. So they called mom. Why do you cut the ends off, mom? I don't know. My mom did it. So they got grandma on the line. And she's like, I don't know. I just cut the ends off. Well, great grandma was like 92. She was still around. They got all 4 of them on the phone. I'm listening to this live on the radio. And Grandma, why do you actually cut the ends off of the ham before we bake them? She goes, oh, my pan was too small, so I had to cut the ends off so it would fit in the pan. So here, 4 generations later, they're still cutting the ends, throwing out the pieces because Grandma had a pan that was too small and they had no idea
That's right.
why. You don't know
Mm.
why you're doing things in your money patterns, but if you create your new why, that's your compelling
Yeah.
reason for change, which is why it's the first step of the process I work with people on. It's picturing the life that you want to create, because that's your why and how you'll change your money script patterns.
Yeah.
And we get them not only by the behaviors or lack of behaviors around money, like talking about it or not talking about it, but it's not only in the house you grew up in, it's the kids you go to school with. It's, so for me, my kids went to a parochial school in the inner city. It cost $27,000 a year for them to go to school there because it was a private high end school. Well, my kids are around all these people who are trust fund babies who don't really have to ever work. And I was like, oh, there's a whole entitlement money script going on here that I don't even have. But my kids are getting it from their school. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, now how do I deal with that? Sorry.
Yeah.
But so we have to be mindful of that. It's coming from multiple directions. It's the
Yeah.
communities, the schools, the educations, yours, their friends. Like if you're trying to
Mm.
get out of credit card debt, talk to all your friends and how much credit card debt they have. And then now you need to know that you need to spend less time with them and go hang out with the one that's good with their money, because
Yeah.
you will become the company you keep,
Yeah.
and they're going to
Absolutely.
reinforce the patterns that you have.
Mm.
Like I'm a huge giver. And I realized in my 20s, I had this one really good friend from college. We're in our late 20s and we're at, Friday happy hour, which we always did because she always wanted to get the happy hour deals, right? And I had like to laugh at her because she always had the coupon. She always had always wanted to save a dime. And I realized she would put down, if her meal was $27.02, she would literally put down $27.02 out of her wallet. And I realized I would always put my credit card down, going, okay. And I'd take her cash, put my card down. She never paid for tax or tip, ever.
Mm.
She never, ever paid for tax or tip. And so the one night I said to her, I go, well, everything's on you tonight for the last 4 years of you screwing me out of tax and tip. And I was like, this is just not even fun hanging out with you anymore because I got to watch and I love her as a person, but my gosh, with her money patterns, I'm going, not a good combo for a financial giver being with a financial taker. And
Yeah.
that's how we attract it. We attract the opposite, right?
Yeah.
But that was my lesson, to hold healthy financial boundaries, going, yeah,
Mm.
I'll give to you, but not if you're going to be a taker and you're just going to, take whatever you can for your own benefit, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these money patterns go deep.
Yeah. Mm. They sure do. And yeah, I've definitely witnessed that in my life. Let's talk about the pact system. Let's do a little bit of a dive
Hmm.
into that. So picturing yourself, accepting reality, choosing change, and then taking action. Could you step us through that, please?
Sure. And again, like I mentioned, the picturing the life that you want to create is your compelling reason for change. Because if I just sat here and looked at your financial reality of what you've created thus far, you're you want something different. So why am I going to give a whole lot of focus and energy to what is? Like, it is important to know where your starting point is, but I need more of your energy going to picturing the life that you want for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then the whole process of not only am I picturing what you want to create with you, then we have to accept reality, because in that acceptance, like I have clients that won't even open up their envelopes when the stock market's down. And I'm like going, no, you need to open up. You need to accept the reality that the market went down. Maybe that makes different choices for you and who you vote for and stick in office on whether or not you like what they did or didn't like what they did, right?
Mm.
And feel the feelings of the fear, because looking at reality is actually an opportunity for all of us to feel the feelings of what is stuck inside of your physical system.
Mm.
And so whether it's fear or sadness or concern or even joy and happiness because it went up, right? But
Mm.
accepting that reality is super important
Yeah.
because it opens up emotional space. That's what it does.
Mm.
And it
Mhm.
allows you to have more space to create the new. And the second step of the process also has awakening your authentic self. Why? Because usually you're not fully showing up in the world for all that you are. Most people have negotiated ourselves away for a paycheck,
Yeah.
like on some way, some form, and all justified good reasons, like I'm providing for my family, I need to pay down my debt, like all very good reasons in our mind. But if you're not happy, what happens over time is disease develops in your body if you're not authentically plugging into the world. So, a job
Yeah.
that you maybe loved at one time may not be your love now 10 years later. And you have to find that courage to actually shift and change. And part of me awakening that authenticity back up inside of you is saying, okay, if that's who you are and that's what you want to be, and you're kind of like, where did that person go on some level? Go, we got to get back to that, because I did this analysis in my first book, The Emotion Behind Money, where 50% of my male clients between 55 and 65 years old developed cancer around their hip area,
Wow.
colon cancer, prostate cancer. I was going, whoa, this is a pretty high percentage of my client base going, why did all these men develop cancer? And then I
Mm.
did some work with Deepak Chopra through the years. He's a Ayurvedic Western medicine doctor. And he says that a cancer cell develops because that cell has lost its sense of purpose. And I was like,
Yeah.
how did all these guys lose their sense of purpose? Then I went back and looked at what were their life circumstances. Every single one of them was let go of by their jobs, not by their choice. So
Mm.
they were laid off or they had to leave because of a family issue. They weren't ready to unplug from that job. They weren't ready for the next place. And so I'm really clear that men put on that provider hat super serious about being the provider for their families, their wife, their children. And when that is pulled out from underneath you, it's like, how do I define myself now?
Yeah.
And if you're not defined by, I love this kind of work, I could do it every day, but if you're doing it for a paycheck and a provider, that's outside of you. It's not inside of you. Your authentic self is inside of you.
Out of you.
And
Yeah.
so we have to get back in touch with that, which actually then manifests more money.
Mm.
And so once we get to that place, and then I go, okay, choose to change. It's finding the courage to change, right? If you're going to sit here and go, well, I haven't switched jobs because I might take a $20,000 pay cut. Well, that puts people into fear. That puts
Mm.
people into going, why would I want to do that? I'm going, well, so you don't have 15 more years of hell? That might be a good
Mhm.
reason,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But what they don't understand is that actually, if you're doing the things that you love, more money, you get bigger raises, bigger promotions, bigger bonuses. Like that's what happens.
Yeah.
And, but you have to find that courage to
Mhm.
choose to change and go. It's one
Yeah.
thing to recognize it in your mind, it's a whole other thing to put it to action. So once you decide, okay, I'm going to take the leap, I'm choosing to change, I'm going to find the courage, I'm going to muster it up, then let's start taking action. That's the last step in the process. It's like, here's our list. It's funny, my agendas for my clients, some of it's financial stuff and some of it's esoteric stuff, of
Mm.
going, okay, did you do X, Y, and Z? And they're going, no, but I get to that. I'm going, okay, well, this is going to creep up. Okay, this is going to creep up. Okay, this is going to creep up. And so what it does is the pact process creates sustainable change in your life, and one where your wealth is built from the inside out. And it's
Mm.
because you're doing it in alignment with your authentic self, with your soulful self.
Yeah.
Of the only place in the world, if you're not being your authentic self, you're never going to find happiness outside of you. Not
Mm.
in a person, not in a job, not in a relationship. Because if you're not being authentically you, you're always going to be on some level unhappy
Mm.
because it's not
Yeah,
sustainable.
exactly.
It's going to be the new shiny penny for a while, and then it's going to get tainted at some point.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, totally. What about the emotional triggers behind the financial decisions that people make? Like, therapists note that emotions drive 80 to 90% of your financial decisions.
Well, remember, 97% of our responses to the external world come from our subconscious mind, not our conscious mind. So that's the wiring that happened before you were age 7. And so when you think about what was your environment before 7, was it scarcity? Was it abundance? Was it not talked about? Or was it talked about a lot? That's what hardwires into your amygdala. And so when we're triggered, if you will, so if you're emotionally triggered, so you go angry, sad, frustrated, whatever, they're lower vibrating emotions. Those lower vibrating emotions tell that little girl or little boy inside of you going, abort, abort, abort. Because that little boy or little girl stuffed the energy of those emotions down when they were a child, and they're still stuck in your system. That energy of those emotions is still stuck in your system.
Mhm.
And when you're triggered to go spend in your emotions behind money, when you go and spend it and you move the energy, what actually is happening is you're just diverting from you feeling your feelings that are stuck and not allowing you to align with your authentic self. It's in
Mm.
alignment with your trauma rejection self, not your authentic self.
Authentic self. Yeah.
And so most people walking on the planet don't even recognize it's an unconscious pattern. But when you
Yeah.
start to recognize going, what you recognize is going, I'm done with this credit card roller coaster game, but
Mm.
you don't necessarily know how to do it. You just know you're done with the pattern. And the solution to that is when you get the urge to go spend, stick it in the cart, but leave it there for a week. And I guarantee
Mm.
you it'll dissipate. Don't buy
Mm.
it right away, just sit on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or go to the bank and get the cash for that new sofa. And I guarantee you're not going to hand over $2,000. You're going to be like, I don't even want to pay $1,000 for this couch. But you'll
Exactly.
slide a credit card all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. Or there nowadays there's the buy now and pay later, right? And
Right?
that's yeah. Yeah.
Biggest hook.
Biggest
They
hook. Yeah.
got you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You're a hooked fish.
Yeah. So how do we break free from these limiting beliefs? I mean, many people know what they should do financially, but they struggle to do it. Like, how do you help your clients bridge that gap between knowledge and action?
Right. So, one, we have to take away the fact that there's no shoulds in life, right?
Hmm.
I want, so if they feel like they should do something, that too is an answer outside of themselves. So that's why you have to go back to the first step of the process, and that's picturing your life, what the life you want to create, because that's your compelling reason for change. Because
Mm.
I'll say to people going, okay, well, here's what I recommend, which could be a should, right? As a
Hmm.
financial planner, I could say, okay, I want you to do X, Y, and Z. And then when they buck up against it, then I ask the question going, so have you decided that you don't want this goal in this time frame? Well, no, I want that. Okay, well, that's how you get it. This is what we need to do. And they go, oh, yeah, I guess I do want to do that. Or they go, well, maybe I actually really don't want that. So, in the process, when I challenge people in this way, they actually start to realize what really truly is authentically theirs of what they want and what's like going, oh, yeah, I guess I don't want it that bad. And that's what starts to happen when you start to ask the questions going, if you're really not willing to do those things, well, then do you not want the outcome of it? A great example of this is like a 30-year mortgage.
Hmm.
I have people come to me going, I just refinanced my mortgage. And I said to my aunt one time, I said, you want to be done paying your mortgage at 85 years old? She goes, no, nobody wants that. And I go, well, that's what you just did.
Mm.
She goes, well, but the mortgage broker said that this was the lowest payment, would help my cash flows today. I go, you gotta make sure. Okay, yes, lowest payment, got it. But you forgot about the other side, the outcome. And the broker wants you to buy a 30-year fix because they make the most commissions.
Yeah.
So you have to think of, what are you doing today that creates the outcome that you desire? And if it hits, and if it doesn't hit that outcome, going, oh, like, so I helped my aunt rethink it. She's like, well, I don't want it past age 70. Okay, well, that cuts 15 years off. So then I ran the numbers of, okay, well, then you have to do this today to have that then paid off in 15 years. She's like, well, that's a lot. I said, well, why don't you do this? Why don't every pay raise you get for the next 15 years, you take half of that pay raise and you add it to your mortgage payment? She's like, oh, I can do that because that's half of something they're not living on today. So that's a very easy thing to do. And it was the whole game plan. If they had the same trajectory in their pay increases and bonuses, if they took a third to a half, they would have solved it. It's just another way to think about it, but you're thinking about it in a way of going, well, what's it going to do for me? What is this? There's no shoulds. How is it going to get me to where I want to be? It's not about anybody else. It's about where I want to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
And
then you're
like,
aligned with being the creator of your own life.
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Totally agree.
It gives you your
Um,
why
yeah.
you're doing things. There are
Yeah.
no shoulds. Just why do you
And
want to do it? And for what
yeah.
reason?
Yeah. And start with your end goal. Like, what is it that you want in your life, and then work towards it. So, like, for example, as I shared before, I've been through 24 restructures, 4 redundancies, and during that,
Mm-hmm.
in 5 years, I've been through 3 redundancies, and each time I had to go through multiple mortgage holidays. Every time I did
Right.
that, it set me backwards because the interest keeps building up, and you're still
Right.
having to pay that, and then you're extending the mortgage out. But what's happened
Exactly.
is since I met my partner, we are about to move in together in the next few months, and that's going to help us cut down on our expenses, and I
Right.
can
So
rent.
before you go any further, you want me
Yeah,
to give you an example of how I would coach somebody on that?
yeah,
So it's all about intention.
yeah,
So let's just say you have, you know, $1,000 extra a month.
mm,
I'm going to actually use 1,200.
mm,
Okay. So if you have 1,200 more per month, if you have any debts outstanding, you have $400 a month to go to that bucket. You have $400 a month to go to a spending bucket. Maybe create a savings account that's for vacations because you want to take more vacations, or you want that special golf club set that costs way too much money and you put $400 a month in there, or it could be a couple of them, right? Could be a new car and whatever. And then the other $400 a month, if you don't have proper emergency reserves in place, you put some of it there, some of it in your midterm bucket, and some of it in your retirement bucket. And that's how I would sprinkle, because I would call your savings by moving in together is what I call newfound money. And that could be moving in together, it could be inheritance, pay raises, tax returns, bonuses. Anytime you get money that's not in your normal cash flow, you allocate it where you go a third, a third, a third if you have debts. If you don't have debts, then you do half and half.
yeah,
That
yeah.
way, you're hitting all cylinders.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to rent my house out so that we can then
Perfect.
go and rent a place together, and then someone else is paying my mortgage, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Instead of me for the last 8 years have been slogging out on my own trying to pay the mortgage, and hasn't really worked. So I can't keep doing the same thing. I've got to do something different.
Right.
So
Yep.
there we go. Yeah. Now we're at the stage of the fun part of this episode. Now I get to ask you 6 quick fire questions. Now you
Yep.
could choose to answer these in a single word or a short sentence. The first question is, what is your definition of success, and has that definition changed for you over time?
Sustainable happiness. And no, it's never changed. Mm.
Who's been your greatest inspiration and why?
Mm. My dad.
Hmm.
He always gave me the hoopspa to keep going, no matter what came in front of me.
What is something that you believe that others may disagree with?
Everything. No, sorry. That you can create anything in your life. I came from nothing and I could have retired 10 years ago by the business I built. And
Yeah,
you just have to believe you can achieve it.
absolutely. Yeah, 100%. If you could go back and give young Julie a bit of advice, what would it be?
Don't listen to anybody else except your own inner knowing.
Mm. What is one message you'd like to share with the world?
Follow your inner knowing and have fun all along the way. I always tell my clients, do whatever makes you giggle. And they go, well, is it financially smart? I go, does it make you giggle? Because
Yeah,
you know you're in alignment with yourself when you giggle.
yeah.
So follow that path.
And also, like what we were talking about earlier, and I've been doing this, is I've started to having fun with money, and I'm going, hey, imagine if we could do this today, you know. And I do this every morning, so I have this routine where I do gratefulness, I do uh, I ground myself by visualizing myself going into the center of the earth, and my old self gets burnt down, and I regenerate and go back into my body. And then the last thing I do is segment intending, which is by Esther Hicks. So I put out the intentions for the day and say, this wouldn't it be amazing if that happened today? Hey, how much money could we generate today, and how much fun
Right.
could we have with it? Yeah. So I started to
Right.
have more fun with the money. Okay, last question. What does it mean to you to be a champion and to have a champion mindset?
To be in alignment with self and don't let anything block it.
Mm,
Because when you are you, you're happy, you're joyful, and being that is contagious and the world needs more of it.
mm, absolutely. 100%. Julie, it's been amazing chatting to you. I could talk all day with you because there's so many things that I could ask you, but maybe we may have to bring you back on for another episode at some time in the
That'd be
future.
great.
But
Thank you.
if people, so I've listened to your podcast quite a bit. While I'm driving,
Are
while
you
I'm
that stalker that's been out there? No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. And I tell you what, it's been great listening to you, watching you on YouTube, and so on. But if people would like to connect with you, or
Mhm.
someone's listened to this episode and it's resonated with what they're going through at the moment, how can
Mhm.
they get hold of you? How can they get in contact with you?
Absolutely. Well, I have lots of stuff on my website, juliemurphy.com. Instagram, it's Awaken with Julie. YouTube, it's Julie Murphy, the author, and there's two of us. So make sure you got the finance one, not the children's book one. But I'm everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn. I put everything out there and there's resources for everyone. But if you want direct contact, and I have courses, I have mini courses, full courses. I've written 3 books. I have workbooks. Anywhere you're at where you start your journey today, I've got the resource for you because I've built it that way. So no matter where you're starting, you can flourish moving forward.
Amazing. What we'll do is I will put some of the information into the show notes, but also I will be creating a page for you on my site, and on
Thank
there
you.
I'll have the books and everything in there, and the podcast
Thank
links,
you.
so that people can go to one place and find you, go and find you everywhere else.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, lastly, I just want to say that it's been incredible and enlightening today, and your PAC system offers a really clear roadmap for anyone who's wanting to create a healthier relationship with money. And so, where our listeners, closing thoughts is that, Julie, what you've shared reinforces the fundamental truth of financial wellness. And it isn't just managing money, but it's about managing your emotions and that are behind the money. So
Mhm.
thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us.
You're
And if you've been
welcome.
watching this episode and it's resonated with you, please connect with Julie, connect with me. And lastly, I just want to say you are worthy, you are loved, champion your life, champion your greatness, and have an amazing day.
Absolutely.